To speak to the resolution, Chair recognizes Representative Breen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The most helpless and horrifying moment of my entire life occurred on January 18, 2014. My son, only a day old, turned blue as the nurse was returning him to my arms after he had a minor procedure. It felt like an eternity, but it was really only 45 seconds. Any parent here that has watched their child face an imminent and immediate threat to life knows that terror. Some of you here have lived with that unmitigated loss, which is a soul-crushing heartache I hope I will never have myself. After quick work by a team of medical professionals, Elliot's airway was cleared and he began to breathe normally. He was born with a cleft palate, nothing that was discovered when I was pregnant or even during his first 3 medical examinations. I knew something was wrong, and it turns out that my son was born with one of the most common birth defects in the world. Mothers of newborns typically do not sleep as it is, but babies with cleft palates must sleep upright until they are almost a year old, or they will easily choke to death in their sleep. I'm convinced that some people have only more than one child because the sleep deprivation makes them forget how difficult it can be. A cleft palate means there's no barrier between the nose and the mouth, and until it is repaired, it directly impacts how a baby sleeps, eats, breathes, babbles, or speaks. It is only one of the myriad of craniofacial abnormalities that can affect a person. And as difficult and expensive as it can be to raise a child with a cleft palate, bottles alone are $25 to $30. It's nothing what parents in other parts of the world cope with. When my husband and I walked into the clinic at Mott's Children's Hospital when Elliot was 4 days old, we looked at each other and we thought, this is gravy. We can deal with this because we saw the range of issues that other families were dealing with in the harrowing road ahead. A lifetime of medical treatment, the prospect of a child facing ridicule and isolation because of the way he or she looked. And unfortunately, here in Michigan and in the United States, we do have certain resources, but it is not enough. When a young woman gave birth to a baby boy with a facial deformity in Ghana, terrified locals carried that child to the river as a sacrifice for the gods. Somebody fortunately intervened, and they were able to get the child to the Capitol for a very simple procedure to repair the defect. Hundreds of thousands of babies in developing countries are born with craniofacial abnormalities. Elsewhere, these children are frequently rejected by their communities or even killed at birth. They aren't allowed to go to school or play with other kids. My son Elliot is now 7, and he's thriving. We still have many appointments and therapies to contend with. While I think he has the sweetest voice in the world, he's embarrassed to hear himself talk and has been diligently working on his speech. On a normal session day, I was hoping to have him here with me to discuss this resolution, in which case he would either be mortified and trying to hide under this desk, or he would do what he did during a Zoom meeting, in which I briefly left my laptop and he took over to discuss with the audience the importance of Godzilla and other titans. It could go either way. We have had many medical advancements to treat children like Elliot, as well as people of all ages, for numerous types of craniofacial abnormalities, but there's still much work to be done here in Michigan, the United States, and across the world. Throughout the country, July is Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness Month, and I'm asking this chamber to support my resolution to make it so here in Michigan. I kindly request your co-sponsorship, which is available on the electronic calendar, and I thank you all for indulging me to hear and learn about these children, including my son. And for those of you that were on that Zoom conference, thank you for indulging Elliot and patiently listening about Godzilla. I hope we can all work together to spread the word about craniofacial abnormalities and recognize the importance of Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness Month. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. The question before the House is the adoption